everybody. It's your podcast sister, Lisa, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio. If you like to discover new music, then you've come to the right place. This is where you'll meet singers, songwriters, and musicians who are living the dream and talking about it on Podcast Sister. On today's show, I will be interviewing the talented country gospel singer-songwriter Jeannie K from Ontario, Canada. Jeannie has released a new Christmas single titled Prince of Peace, and she's here to talk about it, as well as share her love for gospel music and the life-changing message that it represents. Stay tuned, and let's talk music. Welcome, Jeannie. Thank you for joining me on today's podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's just hard to believe that Christmas is right around the corner. I
I
mean,
know, honestly.
and
Yeah.
for so many of us, we tend to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of shopping and wrapping presents and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But when I
Yep.
heard your song, Prince of Peace, it really tells the story of the true meaning of Christmas in such a beautiful way. And you have a voice of an angel, that is for sure. Tell us, Jeannie, what inspired you to write this song and what does it mean to you?
Well, thank you so much for the comments there on the song, Lisa. I tell you, that is exactly why I had it in my heart to write it because of what you said. It's such a rush season, the hustle and bustle, and we all get caught up in it. It's just our culture, and and it just kind of dawned on me one day. I'm like, I just want to write something, just to tell the story in kind of a simple way of where Christmas actually started. And of course, based out of the Bible there too. Like, I just kind of came up with, okay, what can I say? Like, how can I sing it in a way that's just kind of fun? And then one day I was at my church leading our band, and we were just kind of playing around with some melodies and stuff. And then the chorus for it just kept coming. And they will call him the Prince of Peace. They will call him Jesus. And so, yeah, it was fun to do this song in my journey. That I'm kind of surprised at the amount of people, especially maybe younger people, that have never heard like where Christmas came from.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah,
kind of the heart behind that. Yeah.
yeah, and it is a lot different for growing up now today than when I was a kid, and um, you know, I it is important for me as a grandma that my four grandchildren, are learning not only the message of Christmas, but
Right.
having, that moral grounding in whatever,
Yeah.
way that, my daughters and their husbands choose. And it is a
Exactly.
choice, and it is a conscious choice, and it's a big
Right.
responsibility for parents. And I've told my daughters,
Mhm.
particularly, it is your responsibility as a parent. How do you feel about that?
Mhm. Good for you. Wow. I agree with you 100%. Like, at the end of the day, everyone has to make their own choices, and of course that's with their faith too. And but I think it's awesome that you have communicated that to your children. And I feel exactly the same way. Like, how will they know unless someone tells them? It's that simple. Like, and ultimately, though, I think people really want to know deep down. Children are very curious too, right? Like, but unless someone takes the time to tell them where it came from,
Mm-hmm.
um, it won't occur. And I remember actually that happened to me a few years ago during the Christmas season. I was invited to sing at a community event, and anyway, when I was singing some of the songs, and some of them being the traditional Christmas songs that had the message like Prince of Peace, a lady came up to me and she said, "You know what?" She said, "My grandkids have never heard like the reason for Christmas, and I'm going to go and make sure, like she kind of said something to that effect. I'm going to go and make sure that they are told. Like I don't know if it just kind of set in on her heart like really strongly, but anyway, so that just reminded me that I think everybody deep down really wants to know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And in the children especially, I know with my young grandson in particular, when you talk
Mhm.
about God and the baby Jesus and the things
Mhm.
that a 6-year-old can relate to, they light up. I
Mhm.
mean, they want to know.
Exactly.
It's so
Yep.
different from an adult that's been, kind
Mhm.
of get had that rough road in life, and it's
Yep.
just it's just it's beautiful to see, and I encourage
Oh, I
anyone
know.
to listen
Mm,
to
mm.
do what your heart tells you to do,
Yes,
because
for sure.
this technology is just so fast paced, and I know I get caught up in it, but
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah, we all do.
yeah, so I'm glad you wrote that song, and really, like you said, it is very beautiful but simple. And when I was
Mhm.
looking at some of your videos when you're performing
Mhm.
on stage, one in particular I saw was the Apple Country Jamboree, and you were singing the
Mhm.
song Just a Little Talk with Jesus. I encourage
Mhm.
everyone to take a look at that video. And the reason being is that it's
Mhm.
so simple. Life is so simple when I
Mhm.
see you perform on stage and I see the band and
Mhm.
see the two ladies
Mhm.
sitting in the chair, and it
Mhm.
kind of you long for that simplicity, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I think so. I do. I think it is. We tend to, in my own mind, I'll just say I'm one of those where you tend to overthink like things, but really, and the gospel is just a simple message, really. Like, I know this
Yes.
isn't a, yeah, preaching podcast, but it really is simple. Love God and love people, like Jesus said, like, and, yeah, and just talk to him. It's it. Like he's there, but,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I agree. And one of the things that I'm always fascinated when I read, in particular,
mm,
when you hear an artist who's been a heavy,
mhm,
maybe rock and roller for a long time, let's say, for example, Alice Cooper, who,
mm,
you know, hit rock bottom in whatever way he would
mm,
describe, and you'd have to, look into it, anyone listening to this. And
mhm,
it is that simple message that they reach out
mm,
to in that time of trouble and despair for
yeah,
that one last time, and are able to, find that lifelong peace that they needed and knew that the material things and etc. couldn't take that place of.
yes, yes, exactly. We've seen it, and that's the thing, right? We're in such a culture where, and it's hard, right? There's so much stress for, if I can get to that point, if I can get to that point in my life and career, and if I can obtain this, then I'll be happy. But I think that yeah, they are a testament that you can see that there's something else that people really are craving in their soul and in their heart. And we've all been there, I think, where we search for things and then go, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be,
Yes.
But yeah, I agree 100% that there's one of the Christian songs out there. Graves to Gardens that Brandon Lake and some of their bunch wrote, and it does say that I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise, treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along talking about Jesus, put me back together. I love lyrics. I'm a content writer. Like that's my biggest thing. It's just so it's true. It's true. We're all looking for that deeper reason why we're here and that connection, I believe, with God.
I do too. I also appreciated when I was looking at your YouTube videos when you had your song rendition of Old Rugged Cross and you sang it beautifully. And those
Oh, thank
hymns,
you.
they're just so beautiful. And talk about the youth. The youth, I think,
Mm-hmm.
are learning more and more about the old hymns that, I
Mm-hmm.
grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's,
Mm-hmm.
but you,
Oh, I know.
you did it and you did it justice and
Oh,
beautifully.
thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I love those hymns too. They're priceless, really. And yeah, thank you for that. I enjoyed doing that. A song, yeah, it's definitely in my heart to recreate some of those hymns that have such history and theology too, right? They teach people. Like some people will never maybe go into a church, but they may listen to a song, and hopefully that song, if in the gospel world that I'm at, hopefully that will lead them and help them to feel something that they've not felt before from the Creator.
Yes. When I saw you on stage, you just are so at peace when you're singing in a different way that I've seen other performers. And it's like your spirit is shining, and it is a calling to some extent when you're singing the gospel music or you're leading, the worship group. Um,
Hmm.
Tell us about that experience.
Oh, well, thank you for that question, and thank you for the compliment there. I feel like that's just all I can do is just be who I be myself. There's that old saying, well, just be yourself because everybody else is taken, and really, you're the only one that you can be. But I just feel like when I'm singing in front of audiences, no matter where I'm at, I just really want to connect with them, and I feel like I'm doing it for the Lord. And so I always just pray before I go sing, whether it's at that like a country venue like the classic country or gospel, or in the morning at a church, like that just God would kind of flow through me, his message. You do your best to prepare and everything, but at the end of the day, like literally you just want people to be blessed by him, and you're just kind of his messenger, so to speak, and so I remember a time when I was on that same stage. It was a couple years back, and I was singing a song. It's one of my songs I have called "The Touch of the Master's Hand." It's a story song, and there's a fiddle player featured, and that um, wonderful band that sang. There was a man that came up to me after that show that I knew from the community. He was like a businessman who I don't think hardly ever went to church. But he said, Jeannie, that song, I don't know why, but I started making me cry. And I said, well, I believe, my friends, like that's the Holy Spirit touching your heart. But what I love about music is that you can tell stories. And like Jesus told parables, that's how he kind of related to the people. And I feel in my heart a calling almost to just have story songs too, right? Where people can relate to something in it that touches their heart that they kind of weren't even expecting, you know, but in a good way, for them to come out feeling lighter and like, oh, maybe there is something to this gospel message. So,
Well,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, you've got a gift that keeps on giving, really. And speaking of which, why don't we kick off the show with snippet number one, Prince of Peace by Jeannie
Okay.
K. And when we
All
come
right.
back, let's talk more music.
Sounds good.
Baby, come on, day, come into a manger. Like the prophets say, he's coming. Baby, come on, day, come into a manger. Prophets say he'll come, and they will call him the Prince of Peace, and they will call him Jesus, and they will call him the Prince of Peace, and they will call him Jesus. Angel came to Mary, say you're the one. You're gonna have the Son of God, mighty King who will bring hope to all who believe, and they will call him the Prince of Peace, and they will call him Jesus, and they will call him the Prince of Peace, and they will call him Jesus.
Love that song, Jeannie. And really, the
Aw.
words that you wrote translate to the real gifts that God
Oh,
intended for all of us to know.
thank you, Lisa. Wow,
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Well,
Thank you.
well,
And
well, it's the truth. And why don't we talk a little bit about your musical upbringing? You know, I'm from
mhm.
Cleveland and born and raised in Cleveland, and I read that you once lived in Ohio. What part of Ohio?
Oh yes, yes. I'll tell you, I'm more of a neighbor to you than you realize. No, I lived in Toledo for several years actually growing up. I was born in the South in Georgia, and then my we kept kind of moving throughout my childhood until like from the southern states until we ended up in Ohio. And yeah, one of my really good friends is from Cleveland originally, and so yes, um, m- I started singing in the church in Ohio. Like when I was in my youth, I was singing there, and then started touching base with some bands in that area, and then I entered some contests. Like they had those idol contests. Like I'll remember like Finley Idol and fun stuff. Back then, and then I won a recording session at the studio, and that's where it kind of began for me, like getting a desire to record some music in studio. And so Ohio holds a special place in my heart for a lot of reasons, and my mother's still there, by the way. And
Is she still in
yeah,
Toledo?
she is.
Yeah. My daughter went to
I
Bowling
make sure.
Green, which is kind of sort of around that area.
I
So
went to Bowling Green.
you
No way. That's
did
funny. I graduated from Bowling
a
Green.
Falcon.
I am. I am, Lisa. That's
Yeah.
great. And your daughter too? Oh
Yeah,
my
she
gosh.
yeah, she graduated from Bowling Green, and it was a great
Wow.
experience for her and our
Oh yeah.
family. And did you graduate in music, or what was your
I
major?
actually took education. I took music as part of it, like kind of music education. But I also was able to teach like elementary ed too, even though I've taken different routes since then to use my degree. But yeah, it was elementary education was my degree that I walked away with. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that is interesting. We have a lot in common.
We do.
Yeah,
We do. I know. Isn't that fun? It's a small world. It
it
really is.
is. It is. Did you have a personal turning point when you said you were in the studio and, the gospel music? Was that something that you considered, or was there something significant, or maybe not, that said, this is what I want to do and the genre I want to be a part of?
That's a really good question. Like I knew that I was always kind of touched deeply by gospel music that I heard anyway in the church. So that probably influenced me so much that when I did start to record, I I just felt in my heart like that's what I want to do.
So, Jeannie, let's talk about another one of your songs that you wrote that I enjoyed. You Pick Me Up. And if you could talk about the story behind that song. I'm going to also play a snippet for our listeners to enjoy. But go ahead and tell us about that song.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That song was a very special song to me in that it was the first original I released, and I was inspired by a picture that I saw of Jesus dancing with the little girl, and it really caught my eye and made me start thinking in my own life how I felt about like the ups and downs, not really like, and that's why the song, like, it's kind of symbolic of our Heavenly Father and how he's with us, like he's just there no matter what. He'll pick you up if you're down, he will be there with you. Doesn't mean your days are perfect, doesn't mean you don't go through things, but he's always there. So that song was special for a lot of reasons to me because of the meaning, the symbolism of our Heavenly Father being with us and kind of like a dance of life. Also, I was honored to have one of the best fiddle/violin players in Canada on that song. His name is Tom Fitzgerald. And so that was just an honor to have his wonderful fiddle playing on that song. And yes, I just remember sitting on just a blank track that a producer friend sent me in Ohio. And then I just sat there and the words kind of came while I was sitting in Ohio looking at the birds, which is one of my favorite places, just a quiet place to download lyrics, like original songs, words. So that's where that came from. We kind of pieced it all together, melody and words. And yeah, I just really wanted that song to bless people because I know we've all had ups and downs in our life, and I wanted to encourage people that he's always there to pick you up and to be with you, no matter what you're going through. And I also had a lady in Tennessee, I remember she reached out to me and said that she actually was ugly crying when she heard the song. And at first I'm like, oh my God, but then I knew what she meant because, music does have that way. Not only that song, like there's so many that it just touches deep in your heart. And I believe God can use that to heal people and to touch people. And that's my prayer with that song as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I want to go ahead and play that song, You Pick Me Up by Jeannie K. And when we come back, we're going to talk more music.
5 years old, my first dance recital, missed most the moves. You said it was delightful. Oh, how the time flies. And what used to be Barbie dolls soon became boys, left out of circles, left at the dance, trapped on the outside, pain on the inside. Daddy, can you pick me up when I fall? Fix my heart when it's broken. Say the words that need spoken. Daddy, things are gonna be fine. A few years later.
Love that song. Your voice is just beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
So why don't we talk about what your fans have to look forward to in 2025?
Okay. Well, I have the top of my list. We wrote a song, an Easter song, and a co-write I had a few months back. And so that I'm excited about that. We're just kind of piecing together some final plans on like which of our writers is going to release it and that kind of thing. So I'm really excited about that song. So that'll be coming out in the spring. And also just working on some other original songs that I'm hoping to finish, like within the 2025 period. I had a really nice demo sent to me, like just the music from a producer, and so I'm working on some lyrics for that now too.
Nice.
And there's lots of stuff. I think I just have to narrow it down. Like, I'm thankful, right, that there's so many things you can do now as an independent artist, but it's just kind of prioritizing and which one you want to work on, and or all of the above. And the other thing is a Psalms project that I have in my heart to do, like just literally like singing the Psalms, like, and putting melody to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do like a whole CD on that. I'm hoping to an EP for that in the future.
Well, that sounds exciting. And we'll definitely have you back on the show when you finish up some of those projects you mentioned. And how can our listeners find you on social media and also listen to your music?
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you. They can listen on all of the streaming platforms. I'm on Spotify, YouTube, Deezer, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and socials. I'm at Jeannie K Music, with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and they can find my music there. Any of those spots that they enjoy listening to, whatever platform, I'm there.
Well, terrific. And I encourage everyone to download your music and add to their collection. Jeannie, I want to close out the show by playing your song, Come to the Table, in its entirety. But before I do, I want to thank you for joining me today. And this truly has been an inspirational half-hour podcast. And I want to wish you and yours a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much.
We're running on empty. Are you looking for rest? Are you tired of religion? Feel the weight of your debt. Searching and in need. Hungry for His love, His love. Welcome to the table. Come find your name here. He's all you need. Drop your bags at the door now. All your wounds and your scars. Your healing has been prepared. Just come as you are. Searching and in need. Hungry for His love, His love. Oh, come to the table.